Battling those who stood in Mario's way was no easy task, but neither was facing the Koopas. As Zelgo fell to the power provided to Mario, he wondered what he should do now that the multiverse was saved. Mario knew that evil would never rest, especially with Bowser still around. Eventually, he came up with an idea. Once a month, he and his new friends would meet up in Equestria to monitor any and all universes that may need their help. Since then, Mario and his new allies had been fighting together to protect every universe from any dangerous events or beings. However, unknown to the heroes, there was a new foe who was waiting for Zelgo to fall, so she could carry out her own plan for all of existence. Following the Syndicate's defeat, Twilight returned to Equestria with her friends. She was saddened to see her new friends leave, but she knew she would get to see them again from time to time. She even offered Cozy Glow a chance to resume as a student at the School of Friendship. But to her surprise, Cozy declined, and chose to join the Paw Patrol so she could help others. The following month, Twilight spent it helping the citizens of Equestria rebuild. Things were getting much better for all her friends. Pinkie Pie getting engaged, Rarity traveling, even the Cutie Mark Crusaders becoming assistant teachers at the School of Friendship. But months later, Tidal Wave told her of a vision he had. In 20 years, a new evil would arrive. One who sought to cause separation in Equestria and take all the magic for herself. This new evil was called Opaline. Chase was relieved that justice had been served against the Syndicate. Their very existence threatened his home and friends. After meeting with his new allies, the pup agreed to meet with them each month, to make sure the multiverse was safe. When the Paw Patrol returned to Adventure Bay, they went back to the normal rescues they did on a daily basis. Finding lost animals, putting out fires, or even stopping Mayor Humdinger. Chase was happy that the conflict had ended. But the pup couldn't help missing Evelyn. He knew she had to return to her own time when the Syndicate was defeated, but he also knew he'd see her again one day. But what he didn't know, was that he'd see her again sooner than expected. Iron Man had battled aliens, evil gods, galactic tyrants. He's seen it all. But never a threat on this scale. He knew that there was always a chance something like this would happen again, and he needed to be prepared. Every month, he met up with his new allies in Equestria to discuss possible scenarios and threats. A few believed he was overthinking things, but everyone else knew he was right to be concerned. When Tony wasn't attending meetings or battling villains, he would be in his lab, creating new suits and weapons to use against potential enemies. He even decided that just in case, he should create iron suits for his friends. He would always come prepared. Scorpion reveled in he and his allies' victory against Zelgo and his army. It was a hard-fought battle against foes Scorpion had never seen the likes of before. He was almost certain they wouldn't prevail. But thanks to Tidal Wave and many new allies, they pulled through. To show his gratitude, Scorpion had dedicated the Shirai Ryu to protect not only the realms, but the multiverse as well. But months later, during a meeting with his new ally, it had been discovered that Quan Chi was still alive. Enraged, Scorpion began his quest to finish what he started. He swore that if it was the last thing he did, Quan Chi would meet his end by his flames. Battling a large group of villains with near impossible odds was nothing new to Sonic. He never had any doubt that they'd win in the end. Once he returned to Mobius, Sonic and his friends resumed their everyday lives. Sonic continued running through Green Hill while occasionally putting a stop to Dr. Eggman's schemes, including one involving new robotic versions of Mario, Twilight, Chase, and Scorpion. Later on, Sonic got a call from the Paw Patrol that Evelyn had returned. But she wasn't alone. She had brought her friends, and they all seemed to have escaped a terrible disaster. And to Sonic's surprise, among them was a light blue hedgehog who bared a huge resemblance to him. Concerned another threat similar to this one would one day invade the multiverse, Batman created an autonomous multiversal security system to monitor any potential foes, designed to detect any signs of danger to existence. But that wasn't the only thing Batman created. He knew what his new allies were capable of. And he also knew what could happen, should they turn to the wrong side. So he proceeded to make Agamemnon contingencies for each of them, including Mario, Twilight, Chase, Iron Man, and Scorpion. However, little did Batman know that by creating these plans, he might have doomed all his friends.